Babe,
Yes.
how long have you been into lavender oil for?
For a while now. It's really a multi-purpose oil.
It's good. I've started to enjoy it over the last few years.
Yes, it's really good. It helps with sleep. It also helps with tightening of muscles, and it also helps with motion sickness, and bruises and cuts.
You just put some on.
I did. I put some on my hand, yeah.
Because you think you have a wart?
No. No. I've been noticing like a tightening of my hand muscle, and it could be just because that maybe I haven't been drinking a lot of water, because that can contribute to part of it.
I love drinking water.
Yes, and lavender oil is a muscle relaxant.
Let me set up more for a second.
Yes.
That's
but
great.
It smells really good, and it makes my room smell really good. And you can just put on some lavender oil and use it as a fragrance.
One person who won't be using lavender oil anytime soon, I imagine, is Phil Spector, who died yesterday.
That was kind of a weird way to segment into it. Yes, he did die, and we just found out. Now, Phil Spector...
He loved his guns.
Oh, stop it.
Sorry, I've been doing that Southern thing all weekend with Alana.
That's
and you've been
kind of irritating already.
I think it's funny to me, but sorry, you give some words of wisdom about this man.
Well, all I know is that his music was brilliant. He created the wall of sound. He helped with the beginnings of Ronnie and the Ronettes, because he was married to Ronnie Spector, from what I understand. But I also heard that he was not a very nice person to work with or to be around. Very sad.
He was convicted of killing somebody.
It was his model girlfriend, right. Lana Clarkson.
She disrespected the flag. Sorry. I'll stop this.
What are you...
I don't think that's the reason why.
I don't even know if Phil Spector is like that.
I don't know either. But it was fun. I mean, you got to make light of things sometimes.
Yeah, but... Okay. All right.
All right, let's get back to reality, babes.
Let's get back to reality and the passing of Phil Spector. I would imagine that there is going to be a bunch of things out that he didn't even release, or maybe... yeah. Who knows?
In high school...
Mm-hmm.
I used to have phone sex. Not with you, with somebody else who you know.
Do we have to go there?
We already are.
All right.
We're pretty soon we're going to go back.
Okay.
And you became friends with this person for some odd reason.
Yeah, kind of. It was, well, I mean, I don't know just how good friends we are, because we haven't been in communication as of late. But go on.
In any event... You and her went to a restaurant. Or you were getting a ride.
I was on my way somewhere. I might have been on my way to see you, actually.
And the music was playing. She was in the vehicle with you, and she did not know who Phil Spector was.
Well, I explained to her that the people she was hearing, that we were hearing, was the group Ronnie and the Ronettes. She didn't know who they were. And I said, well, have you heard of Phil Spector? And she did not know who Phil Spector was.
We were joking around earlier that she liked Celine Dion, 90s country music, and probably a lot of Muzak.
Or jazz.
Yes.
Well, maybe it's like the smooth jazz equivalent to Muzak. Smooth jazz just sounds like a more poppy and very like you would listen to at a doctor's office or something. Yeah, it's not good.
I understand, Jaylo.
Yes.
That when you were growing up, your grandparents used to listen to that type of music.
So let me put this in context, and I've told you this before, so I'm just repeating myself. But there was a station in Hawaii when I was growing up, and it was called, the call letters were KUMU, and sometimes they would have that station on, and I always wondered, man, why do they want to listen to this? It's so boring. It's soothing, but it's boring. And then every time they would play, sometimes they would play like a song with words, but they would shorten it, or they would shorten it to where they wouldn't play the entire song, or they would play the entire song, but usually they would shorten it. I never understood it, and I never understood why anybody would want to work at that station.
I know, or at least this is what I believe from our prior conversations.
Yeah.
That when your dad was in town, he would have control of the radio in the living area, right?
Oh, when I was growing up?
Yeah, and your dad, because he was in the military, but when he was home, he would be like the one with primary control of the radio.
Well, he would put the stereo on, but there was always a way to listen to the radio without the stereo.
But you know what I mean. He would he would be in charge of the music.
Yeah, but I liked his music though. I still like it. He has a great taste in music.
What I'm curious about, Jaylo, when your dad was out of town, did your mom call the musical shots, or did everybody just take turns?
I don't know. I mean, we listened to music in the car. We would listen to music on the stereo. But I liked the stuff that my parents listened to, so it didn't bother me. And then we would listen to the stuff that we liked to listen to. But we weren't like, oh, we want to listen to that. No, we want to listen to that. We weren't arguing about that stuff.
Because of the fact that your parents were more old school, or just because they had good taste in music?
I think it's because they had good taste in music, and they didn't mind listening to the stuff that we listened to. I mean, we would listen to a lot of things in the car that was playing around our time, and it was good stuff. I mean, sometimes I would go to their room and listen to like the little radio if I was bored. So I always found ways to do that, and but I liked the stereo on because it just had a really good sound, and we would keep the stereo on when we were cleaning, or if there was or if somebody was cooking or whatever, what have you. I especially liked listening to like Rick D's, Rick D's and the Weekly Top 40. That would come on weekends, and so it would Casey Kasem and the American Top 40. So I would listen to that stuff.
When you moved to the mainland,
yes,
to live with your uncle and aunts,
yes,
how did your exposure to music change?
Well, we were still listening. I mean, it was eclectic even when I was a teenager, and we would listen to the radio as we were getting ready for school, and and they didn't mind listening to stuff that we liked listening to. And we also listened to things like, we listened to some No Doubt and some other stuff, I mean, I believe that my tastes were still eclectic even back then.
That's good, babes.
Yes.
How old were you when you had a radio of your own, or a cassette recorder that you could just call yours?
I didn't get my boombox until I was 19.
Really?
And that was my birthday present. And I don't remember why I didn't have a radio when I went to the blind school, but I asked to get one because I'm like, oh, why do I not have one? And what I was using was, I had a Discman, and my aunt bought me speakers. Well, what happened was, I made the mistake of giving my friend the speakers, which I shouldn't have done.
Oh, was that your really greedy friend? The girl?
We don't have to mention who that is, but the name, but yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Good guess. Thank you. But anyway, so that was, I couldn't use that anymore, and then I asked to get a boombox, and I got that for my 19th birthday.
Let me rephrase the question, because I think I might have phrased it a little bit off.
Okay.
How old were you when you first got your own portable music player?
Like a Discman?
Like a Discman or a Walkman or something like that. Or just a tape player.
So I used Walkmans when I was a kid. I think I may have had my own. I can't remember. I don't remember if I was sharing it or what, but when I was 18, that's when I got my first Discman.
Interesting.
Yes.
I had musical players before you did.
I'm sure you did.
And I'm not why I love music now, but It's just kind of like a side thing that I casually enjoyed until I was like 16.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I got my first Discman ever when I was 18. Yes. But I believe I did have a Walkman when I was a kid. And I love that thing. I believe it was mine. It was good. I liked it a lot. I could listen to tapes and also the radio.
That's awesome, babes.
Yes.
Maybe some Phil Spector.
I wonder if Walkmans are going to make a comeback, or at least something that looks like one.
No, I mean...
You don't think so?
People nowadays just use their smartphones.
Yeah, I know.
I could see there being a market for maybe like those really cheap smartphones, the like $100 ones, just have it around as a music player.
Right.
And that would be the next generation's version of the Walkman.
Yeah.
Or the next generation's version of the iPod, rather.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I mean, we worked with what we had, and I thought Walkmans were pretty cool, so.
For the time they were.
For the time they were good, yeah.
Now it's just like, who cares?
No, now we have our technology is so much more advanced.
Yes.
Yes.
Babes.
Yes.
We got up early this morning. Around 5. Talked for a while.
I was exhausted.
Yep, last night. But you woke up, shot out of the cannon at 3, let me sleep in until 5:01. We had a great conversation. Then you started giving me some guff. We don't have to go there, though.
No, we don't have to. It's not important.
Who was right or wrong doesn't matter, just as long as we both agree that I was correct. Anyways, after that, we got out of bed. I took a shower, you washed up, and then we had leftovers.
Yes. It wasn't until I made us some hot cocoa and.
Oh yeah, we had the cocoa. Then I hopped in the shower. You got ready, and then we had some baked rigatoni.
Oh, it was so good.
That was awesome, babes.
Yeah, we've only made the baked spaghetti at your house, right?
I thought we did it here once, but according to you, that is not the case.
No, we did not. I just remember making baked spaghetti at your house, and it was really good. I was in charge of the sauce, so I mixed up that cheesy goodness with the. We had sour cream, cream cheese, cheddar cheese, Gruyere cheese, fresh Gruyere cheese, I might add. And then we didn't use the feta cheese for our kale salad, so I put some feta crumbles, and it just worked out really well.
We should say we made this last night, and we had the leftovers this morning.
We did.
Yes.
It was delicious. It still tasted good.
And what I did, babes,
yes,
is I took some of the shredded Gruyere, and I put it on some Ruffles, which is incredibly decadent.
Oh, yes. It was a cheddar and sour cream ones.
Sure, my cardiologist would be proud. And I gave you some of it. What did you think about that?
It was good.
Yes.
It was good. I would even put that on crackers.
Yeah.
Like, I love Ritz crackers. I like buttery crackers, and I think they would taste good with crackers.
But we made our dish last night, Jaylo. It was really delicious.
Oh, it was so good.
Yes.
Tell you what, I could have pasta any time of the day, and I usually don't have pasta in the morning, but I'm glad I did.
Oh, yes.
It was delicious. Yes, it was.
So, you took a 2.5 hour nap yesterday.
I think I needed it. I did.
I think you did too, babe. You've been sleeping a lot since Friday.
I did, but we already know, like, what has contributed to it, because remember when I was going through a lot of insomnia? I think it's part of it. And I think now my circadian rhythms are starting to get back on track now. They're not off, but yeah, it's starting to get back on track now. Yes.
You got up. We watched some Flintstones.
We did. And this is before we made our dinner.
Yes. I wanted to start working on it right away, but you kept saying, oh, it's watch the Flintstones.
Yeah, I know, but I was still waking up.
Okay.
You have to understand, though, I can't just, work automatically when I'm not quite awake yet. Yes. But once I was awake for it.
I'm glad, babes.
Yes.
The dinner was good.
Yes.
And then we started watching The Virgin Suicides.
Yes, and I wasn't sure if you were going to like it, but it was a movie that, it's not like my favorite movie, but it was good when I watched it.
Right off the bat, I'll say I really, really enjoyed this movie.
Yes.
I'd give it probably a 7 out of 10.
That's very good.
Yes. Yes.
And
I think I gave Casper like a 7 out of 10.
You did. And you considered that pretty high praise.
Yes. I remember once, babes. This was after the first Spider-Man came out in 2002.
Yeah.
I was talking about it with a friend of mine. And I said, oh, he's like, this is a great movie. And I said, it's a pretty good movie. I'd give it a 7 out of 10. Uh-huh. And he starts yelling at me, you're way too critical of films. How can you judge films this way? This film is a masterpiece.
7 out of 10 is not bad. No. I mean, 8 out of 10, if you give something an 8 out of 10, then that's also really good too. But what was that one movie that you told me about and we found that it was like a 5 out of 10? It was like a really bad movie.
Could you give me the premise?
Oh. He talked about it last night.
Anything? Any details?
Oh, I cannot remember what it was about, but you said it was bad.
Do you remember anybody who was in it?
No.
Oh.
I'm sorry. We talked about it last night, too.
Did I like the movie?
I don't remember if you saw it or not. But you heard, I believe you either heard it was a bad movie or you knew it was a bad movie because you saw it.
Yeah, I can't...
It'll come to me later. I just can't remember what it is.
Would you like to give away some of the story of The Virgin Suicides?
Yes, I would. I won't give the whole entire thing, but...
Just 95%, that's all.
Oh. Okay, so it centers on these 5 girls. What were their names? Cecilia, Lux, Bonnie, excuse me, that was my tummy. Oh. Bonnie, Mary, and Therese, and they are from the Lisbon family. They're the Lisbon girls, and they're growing up in this very religious family. Actually, the mother is more religious, I think.
Played by
Kathleen Turner. The father is played by James Woods, and he was really good in this movie.
He seems like a horrible human being, but
yeah, but you're only hearing one person's opinion about it, right? I mean, just because Sean Young said it doesn't necessarily mean that he's a horrible human being.
I love her quote about him.
Yes, I know.
I've been asked not to say on here.
No.
But I think go search out what Sean Young says about James Woods.
Yeah, but that's just one woman's opinion. That doesn't mean that, he's a horrible person to anybody.
He's like super conservative.
Oh, so that makes him a horrible person.
Babes.
Okay,
babes,
all right.
Babes, stop. Oh. Well, I've said before, babes, that I would like to, meet him sometime and
so
hang out with him.
I think it would be only fair that if you hung out with him for an afternoon, that would be fair. But
I think I'd like that, but I think actually being friends with him would be difficult.
Okay.
But
whatever.
He's a great actor.
Okay, so he was good in this movie. He plays Kathleen Turner's husband. And Kathleen Turner is more strict about their rules. Well, it's also centered on these guys who were very much captivated by the girls. How could they be from this family when they're just beautiful creatures? And they're trying to figure out what happened with these girls because of the story that was told about them. Should I fast forward to the party?
Do whatever you want. Go ahead.
Okay.
Well, maybe we should say that at the beginning of the movie, the youngest daughter, Cecilia, tried to off herself.
Yeah, she tried to kill herself, and that was the first story. She was the first person to do that. And they're trying to figure out why. All these people are, and she's 13 years old. And these guys are trying to figure out what's going on with these girls. Well, they're trying to talk to the girls at school, especially Lux Lisbon, who I guess is the one that there are guys that are just crazy about this girl for whatever reason. And it just so happens that one day they ask if they can have a party. The mom isn't too sure about it because she's very, very strict.
Can I interject here?
What?
It was also suggested by Cecilia's psychologist that they have a party so she can learn to become a little bit more social.
More social. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. I forgot about that. Because they want to know, they wanted her to be in situations where there were girls and boys. Mm-hmm. So she could be social. So they have this party with a bunch of kids that they knew. The parents were chaperones. In the middle of the party, Cecilia asks her mom, "Can I please go upstairs?" And she's like, "Well, it is your party and it wouldn't be fun without you, but if you insist on going, then you can go." Well, it isn't that long where you hear a fence. You hear the sound of the fence, and I don't know how much you can see of it, but it was confirmed that Cecilia possibly jumped out the window of her room and hit the fence.
Killed herself.
One
hell of a way to end a party.
Right. Well, the party was over. The mother and the father were grieving, and so were the sisters. The priest comes over, and...
This is like a couple days later.
The priest comes over, tells the mother that he put it down as an accident. And my theory is this. Either...
because I asked about that.
I think either they wanted to make... He probably did it to make the family look good, because they probably were going to... the investigators might blame the parents for the reason why she killed herself.
But isn't that the coroner's job and not the priest's?
Yes, I know. I don't know why the priest said that, honestly. I mean, that's something I don't know. I'm just guessing.
When I saw that, I'm thinking to myself, maybe he put that down in the books for the church so that Cecilia could get into heaven. But wouldn't that then be the priest lying to God who knows everything, supposedly?
Of course it would. Of course it would. And it wouldn't be good for him to do that if that's what he was doing. So I can't answer that question.
Could a priest go to hell for lying to God about that?
Do we have to talk about that now?
I was just curious. You don't have to go there if you don't want to.
Well, because I'm getting off track here.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. We can talk about theological stuff later.
Okay.
Anyway. So... They're grieving for Cecilia. Lydia Pearl, who's this news reporter, comes and tries to interview the girls and ask her about, if Cecilia ever talked about dying. Kathleen Turner sees this and dismisses Lydia Pearl because she wants to get in on the, she wants to get in on the story. What'd you say?
Yes.
Yes. So... time goes by. Lux Lisbon ends up with this guy named Trip Fontaine. Doesn't seem like a very nice person. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about him. Trip Fontaine, yes. And they ask Mr. Lisbon, could they please take the girls to this dance?
Trip Fontaine asked if he can take Lux to the dance. And at first, James Woods also works at the school as a math teacher. I believe it's a Catholic school.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think because their family is really super Catholic.
And so what had happened was he had first gone over to their house. Yeah. First he farted in front of Lux.
What?
And, remember when they're watching the movie?
Oh yeah. Yes.
She thought that was super hot. It was one of those big, smelly, stinky farts.
No, wait. Are you sure that he did that?
Yes. We watched
is that when it was really quiet and then you hear a...
Yes.
Okay, that's right. Okay, I forgot where that came from.
And she was like, taking a big whiff. I'm like, oh, yeah. Apparently that's her thing.
Oh, okay, whatever.
So she invites him over to the house because he says, I'm going to date you. It's really, really awkward. They're watching some show on the Animal Kingdom.
Yeah, it was like the Animals in the Wild.
Animal in the Wild. I don't know why.
And they're like, "Oh, that sounds great! Don't you think that's great?"
And out of nowhere, Kathleen Turner's like, "It's getting late."
Yeah, why don't we go now?
He leaves, and then the next day, Trip goes to James Woods. Basically, tells him, "Listen, I want to be respectful of your daughter, and I want to ask her out." And he just explains, "Listen, bro. I totally get it. My wife isn't cool with it, so there's no way around this."
Well, and then he talks. I think they have a conversation, and he tells the wife, "Well, I will be chaperoning," and so they come to an agreement, and he talks to Trip and says, "Okay, I think my wife has come to a decision, so it's implied that they can go as long as."
They get dates for the other girls.
They get dates for the other girls. They get dates for the other girls. They get back at the same time, and that their father is the chaperone. Yeah.
Well, because he is going to be the chaperone.
Well, yeah. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay. All right, babes.
I'm trying to say, Bubs.
Now, this is about a year after Homegirl killed herself. Yeah.
Homegirl.
Yeah, we're cool like that, babes.
Bubs, am I the one telling a story, or are you the one telling a story?
Sorry, go ahead. Do your thing, babes.
So they get into the car. They I guess it's implied that they're dressed up in, really long dresses, and they look like they're dressed up in sacks. Because the mom wants them to be covered up, like really covered up. Not just covered up, but really covered up. And so they get into, I'm not sure whose car it was.
Somebody else is driving. They blaze a J.
Can I tell the story?
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so they get into marijuana, and they also arrive at the party and get really, really drunk. All the girls go home at the same time except for Lux and Trip. They're in the football field. They're making out. It is implied that they slept together, and then Trip leaves her. Which I never understood that, because in the movie it flashes back to an older Trip after he graduated high school, and he claims that he loved Lux, but at the same time that night he didn't care how she got home.
He was just a confused teenager.
He was very confused, but I didn't understand. I wasn't sure if I liked him or not. Anyway,
she goes home.
Gets in big, big trouble by her mother.
And the mom puts everybody on lockdown.
Everybody. They couldn't communicate with their friends, so their friends had to communicate via messages. They also had SOS messages.
With a flashlight.
Yes, and then they would call the house because they couldn't come over, and they would play music for them.
Because one of the pieces of punishment is Kathleen Turner goes to church, and there's a sermon, so she comes home and tells Lex, "You got to burn all your vinyl.
You got to burn all your records." Yep.
Oh, that was a hard scene to watch.
Yeah, she had to burn Aerosmith and Kiss and some other things, and she's like, no, you can't. She didn't burn all of them.
I believe she was about to burn Aerosmith, and Kathleen Turner agreed to just throw it out.
Yeah, they all. So the rest that weren't burned, she also threw them in the garbage.
Yeah.
Pretty bad. Yeah. Pretty harsh. So, the last time Trip saw Lux was at the football field. Never saw her again. And then, they were all on lockdown. They were all getting messages until one day they get a message, and it's from Lux.
The boys.
The boys get a message.
Who are watching them, and Trip is not a part of this group.
And then there's a bunch of things that go on with Lux that they're also watching, but I won't get into that.
Okay.
They go there, and Lux is telling them that, okay, well, I'm... okay, could you explain that car scene? Because I'm trying to explain it.
Okay, what happens is Lux lets these boys into their house. And you boys, we mean high school age. So
yes.
Nothing
Not men.
Yeah, not men or anything. She says to them, okay, my sisters are packing. Wait for them. I'm going to go into my parents' car. Mm-hmm. She goes. They're fantasizing about what it would be like driving with the girls.
Yep.
Which is kind of cool that you see that.
Yeah.
They start rummaging throughout the house, which is a little bit stupid. And they run across these bodies. Yep. One is hanged. One is on the floor.
One's head is in the oven.
Yep. They run outside. Lux had rolled up the windows, I believe, and asphyxiated herself by turning on the car. So now all of the girls
are
dead. And the parents move away from the town in disgrace.
Yep. They move away and they get rid of everything pretty much.
And then it kind of tells the story about how the town just moves on.
As if nothing happened.
Doesn't really acknowledge it. But these boys grow up to be men who are still obsessed with this case. And still read the diaries of Cecilia. And are trying to put together clues by reading magazines that the girls were into.
And it was really interesting too because towards the end of the movie they show this girl Patty who has her parents are throwing a party for her because she has like a debutante party.
Yeah.
And they're kind of going on with her life and their lives, and Patty is a young woman who is starting her life, and they just kind of forget that those girls were even, those girls ever died. It's kind of interesting.
I enjoy this movie a lot.
I did too.
It has some things in it which are a little bit difficult, but overall, I really liked it. And I would love to see a sequel just focusing on what happened to Kathleen Turner and James Woods.
You think so?
Yes. That would be super interesting to me. What was their life like after this? What do you think it was like?
I think I honestly don't know if they, it could have gone either one of two ways. Either they decided to, up and leave and start a new life in another city completely fresh, or they up and leave, go to another city, but they're complete hermits, and it takes a toll on their marriage.
I think that's the most realistic possibility.
Like they don't have the marriage can't survive because the girls aren't there anymore.
I think it's more than that. I don't know if they can survive.
You think that they're...
I think both of them are dead within 2 years.
Wow. Whether by suicide or natural causes?
Yes.
Wow. Really?
If you had to guess, what would you say about that theory?
It's possible that could be right.
Yes.
And you could tell when Kathleen Turner's character was interviewed, she was just she was totally distraught.
When was she interviewed?
In the movie.
Was she interviewed in the movie?
Remember when, was it after Cecilia's death or it was after the girl's death? Anyway, but she was like, I'm trying to understand what happened. You remember towards the end of the movie?
I vaguely remember that.
Okay.
It's possible.
She did seem very distraught.
Do you think that they love their kids?
Oh, that was the part where she's like, there was a lot of love in our family.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah.
I think that...
No, I do remember that.
Yeah, I think that they loved them. They tried to love them as best as they knew how, but I think the mom was the one that really tried to keep a tight leash on these girls. And they didn't handle it very well. I don't think that it's possible that she was well-meaning, but she didn't know how to execute it the right way.
What does this film teach us about being too religious?
Well, there are two extremes, because you keep a child in a quote-unquote gilded cage, and the child is going to want to break free and rebel from the parents. But you give them less rules, they're going to run wild.
And find their own independence.
Not necessarily.
Go ahead.
just because they run wild, it doesn't mean that they're going to be productive adults. But having being a helicopter parent, whether they're religious or not, is not a good thing for children. And I think that's what she was trying to be.
Do you think that she was that way because she loved her parents or loved her church, and she thought this is what the church wanted her to do?
I think that it probably was the church that played a big part in it, because some of the churches like that are very traditional, and I think she wanted to look good in front of the people that she went to church with. And so she was a disciplinarian. She was the one who called the shots. James Woods did keep the same rules, but he wasn't as strict, which was really surprising to me, actually.
What do you think Kathleen Turner's character's upbringing was like?
It could be one of two things. She could have been brought up in a place that had no rules, and because they had no rules, she had no accountability, and she ran wild. Or she could have been brought up in the same environment, but she believed that she came out fine.
We've talked about the American Dream before, recently,
right.
when discussing the movie Parenthood.
Right.
And I believe that movie is a commentary on the reality of the American Dream through the lens of the late 1980s. I want to know what this film tells us about the American Dream.
As far as raising good children?
It's in general, what does it tell us about the American Dream? I could give you my take if you want.
Why don't you give me your I have a feeling it's going to be cynical, isn't it?
Well, there are 5 girls killed themselves in this movie, so it's not going to be the most upbeat. I think that this film is another example of how, when you look a little bit deeper, the American Dream is really the American nightmare.
I disagree with that.
Do you want me to give my commentary first?
Yes.
Okay. When the film starts out, this couple has 5 kids. They're religious, which, in America we're even though it's supposed to be secular, it's very Christian.
It's not supposed to be secular.
Yes, it is supposed to be secular.
Uh-huh.
It is.
What is?
America.
No, it isn't. But
yes,
go on.
That's
on. Enough of your commentary. Go on. Enough of your commentary about American values. Go on.
Okay. While we are supposed to be a secular country,
no, we're not. Go on.
Let me talk.
Okay.
There is judgment in this country if you're not religious, and you are expected to be more religious. You are expected to be religious, especially more so in the 1970s. So you have this family. They go to church. 5 daughters, white, which is big back then, and a dad who has a job as a teacher, teaching math. From the outskirts, it looks like they have the American Dream.
Yeah.
And as you dig deeper, you see that it's the American nightmare. The girls are basically stuck in this situation that they don't know how to escape. They've never properly dealt with the death of their first sister who killed herself. And through a series of events, they are basically treated like prisoners in their own home. When the girls finally kill themselves, nobody really deals with it. The parents leave town, and the town basically tries to forget them. Yeah. So they forget the seedy side of the American Dream and what it can do to a family, because they are too afraid as a town to face it. And that is why I think these boys are so fascinated, because they've seen a hole in the American Dream, and nobody is willing to explain how to deal with it. What do you think?
I don't know if it's so much the American Dream, but the dysfunctionality that has plagued a lot of families. I don't know that they... maybe they had very good intentions of raising respectful kids, respectful daughters, But I don't know that it has anything to do with the American Dream. I think. Hold on. Do you want me to?
Go ahead. Then I have some questions. Go ahead, but I'm going to have questions.
Of course. Inquisitive you are.
Go ahead.
What I mean is, I think it shines a light on how dysfunctional a family can be, with the extreme of religiosity. In this movie, anyway, you've got this movie, right? You've got religiosity, but if you compare it to a movie like Pecker, what we saw the other day,
yes,
on Friday, it's another extreme of dysfunctionality. I don't think it has anything to do with the American Dream.
What if I told you, babes? What if I asked you, rather, when you were in high school, if you met a group of 5 girls who went to church all the time, parents were into it, their dad was a mathematician, they had a good house, would you think that these people were living the American Dream?
I suppose. Maybe. They would look good on the outside, but at the same time, you don't know what's behind closed doors.
That's what I'm saying.
But I don't know that it has anything to do with the American Dream, because a lot of people have their idea of what the American Dream is.
But there's a standard idea of it, right? You good family, go to church, put some coin away, and be a good citizen.
It's a standard, but it doesn't have to be that standard. Some people can have the American Dream and not have a family or not have the house. They can be successful on their own. I think that people's idea of success is not always equal to that.
I agree with you, but I guess what I'm trying to say is what most of society would consider to be the standard.
Maybe not the American Dream, but I would think that maybe they had it all together.
Okay.
Not so much the American Dream.
I think the reason the town forgets about them is because they are part of the dream becoming a nightmare. This family. And they don't want to think about the nightmarish aspect of it.
Well, remember those 2 women that were talking to each other? And they were just trying to figure out what was going on with these girls?
Yeah.
And they were saying, maybe they were just trying to get out of that house because they knew that there's something wrong. Mm-hmm. They knew there was something wrong behind closed doors, but nobody was willing to talk about it because they didn't know half of what happened.
At some point, I would like to do, not now, but a real discussion with you about just the American Dream in cinema. I think that would be interesting. Because I've noticed this is the second time the idea of it has come up within the last week.
There was a show in, I think it was the mid-2000s that I didn't really watch much of, but it was called American Dreams. Have you seen that?
I've heard about it.
Okay. It was all right. I don't think it was on for a long time, but I watched a little bit of it, and the music was great in that show.
Right, but I'd want to have a discussion about you.
I know that. I'm just...
Can I get a kiss? Ugh. Oh, give me a kiss. Come on. I love you, babes. What?
You're just ornery this morning.
No, I'm not ornery this morning. I love you, babes.
I love you too, but you're ornery.
No, I'm not. Okay.
Okay.
Good.
But you overall liked the movie?
I did.
Good.
I thought it was very good, and Sofia Coppola directed it. Now, I did some research online.
Yeah.
I told you that she was Jason Schwartzman's mom.
Yes.
Apparently, I had that wrong.
Really?
They are cousins.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
But,
okay. That's okay. That's okay. They're cousins. You just did that recently?
When you were in the shower.
Schwartzman, Coppola. I think Schwartzman might be Jewish.
Oh, does that mean you're not going to watch any more of his films?
No. Not what I said.
Okay.
What are you talking about?
I don't know, babes.
You're ornery this morning.
I'm just having fun, babes. Well, give me a kiss.
Ornery.
I love you, babes.
I love you too.
Oh, you just squeezed my nose.
I did. I think he has a cute nose.
Thank you.
Moke?
Mokes.
I think it's a cute nose.
What do you think of... How do you feel about when... how do I want to phrase this? I don't even know.
What?
I like when Kathleen Turner gets together with the Coppola family and works on projects with them. Yeah. How do you feel about that?
Because I don't really have a comment about it.
Sophia's father directed her in Peggy Sue Got Married, which also starred his nephew, Nicolas Cage.
Which is really funny.
Would go on to sue Kathleen Turner.
Wow. And Peggy Sue Got Married is a really good movie. I have not seen it in years, but I remember it being very good.
Yes. Very enjoyable film.
Yeah, and I like how they play with the flashbacks. Because I forgot about that. I know you brought it up, and maybe we'll have to watch it again.
I've seen it so many times.
Yeah, it's good.
Because my mom really enjoyed that movie.
Yeah,
so I've probably seen it like 25, 30 times growing up.
I remember that it came out in 1985, and that was around the time that drive-ins were really big, and I went with my family to the drive-in, and we watched Peggy Sue Got Married, and it was really good. Yeah, it's really good.
Jaylo?
Yes.
Do you have anything else you want to say about the Virgin Suicides?
No. There were some funny things. There was some funny things in it. It wasn't all drama.
Lux is really attracted to farters. We covered that. What else made you laugh?
That one guy, Joe, at the party, he was singing about a monkey or something, or monkeys, and it sounded really weird. I don't know whether he had a disability or maybe he was from another country, but they're like, hey, Joe, sing your song. And it was just like this weird random scene in the party. It was funny.
Yes.
Yeah.
Overall, very good movie.
Good.
Yes.
Good.
I tried showing you a film called Romancing the Stone, and you were awake for part of it.
I was awake for there were some parts of it that I was falling asleep through because I was exhausted.
Okay, so...
Romancing the Stone is a good movie, by the way.
In, I want to say, January of 1996, I am hanging out with my uncle, who is my mother's younger brother, in Kona, Hawaii. And I forgot how we got to talking about this, but he said to me, we should watch the film Romancing the Stone because you've never seen it. So it's like late night, he throws it on and we watch it. And I remember enjoying it at the time, but I haven't seen it since then.
Right.
Previous to this, I had seen part of the sequel, The Jewel of the Nile, but it was on TV. And it was only for like maybe half hour. So
oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't watch the full thing.
It was a half hour?
Because I think I had started watching late.
Oh, you didn't think it was that interesting?
No, it was back in the day you would just flip through channels.
Right.
And so I only watched it for about a half hour.
Oh, okay.
The sequel. But in any event, I have not, and I've seen War of the Roses too.
I heard that was a good movie.
Yes. But I've not seen this film in almost exactly 25 years.
Wow.
And I showed it to you last night.
The only thing I knew about it is that Dire Straits wrote the song for the movie.
Oh.
And it was a really cool movie, actually. It kind of reminded me of like a adventure / Western.
Yes.
Because of the sound of the guns and everything.
You want me to give a brief overview?
Yes, go ahead.
And I'll make this brief because it had been a while since I've seen it, and I was also dealing with somebody who was like falling asleep during it.
I was exhausted. I was trying to stay believe me, I was trying to stay awake, and I was awake for most of it.
Okay.
Not just I was slowly drifting off for some of it.
It starts off, Kathleen Turner is telling this story about escaping to freedom, and we find out that it's part of her new romance novel that she's just wrapping up.
Yep.
She has a cat. She leaves her apartment to go deliver the manuscript, comes back and finds out that her apartment has been ransacked. She gets a call from her sister, who is just starting to get over the death of her husband, who died in Colombia. And the sister is in Colombia. Kathleen Turner has to go there and bring this map.
Yeah, and her sister was kidnapped also.
Right. That's why she has to go
Yes.
with the map. Flies there, gets on the wrong bus, and goes way out of the way. The bus crashes. People start to leave and go their own directions.
Mm-hmm. And all the birds on the bus fall out.
Except for this one guy who was the same person who ransacked her apartment earlier.
Mm-hmm.
He pulls a gun out on her. Michael Douglas saves her. And they go on this adventure. She tells Douglas that, listen, if you help me get to my sister, I will give you $375 in Visa's traveler checks.
Yeah, she offered him $375.
Yes. They're being chased. The guy who shot at them runs into Danny DeVito, who is part of the team that kidnapped Kathleen Turner's sister. And they're not happy with DeVito. Going back to Douglas and Turner, they're being chased by Colombian police. They get away. They go through all these adventures. They eventually find this plane that had crashed some time earlier, and it was carrying Mary Jane.
Of course.
So they burn some. Have a good time. I love that line where he's like, maybe I'll just throw another key on here. And she's like, I'm dizzy. That was great.
I'm dizzy.
And Michael Douglas starts looking at magazines on the plane and sees that the Doobie Brothers broke up.
Yeah, like, and then they're talking, and then she falls asleep.
Mm-hmm. They eventually go to this village to try to get a car to go to the city where the sister is at.
Mm-hmm.
People pull out guns, and Michael Douglas says her characters' names. One of the guys holding a gun is a fan of her books.
Yeah.
Invites them into this huge mansion that we think he got from selling drugs.
Yeah.
Gives them a ride with his fireproof truck as they're being chased.
Yeah.
They eventually end up in the city. Michael Douglas goes to do his thing. He buys clothes for Kathleen Turner. They're having a fun night on town later on. Things start to happen. One thing leads to another. And the next day, she goes to get the sister.
Mm-hmm.
Gives the map. Michael Douglas is there with the police because he had been caught by them. Right. There's a shootout. An alligator takes the jewel.
Wait, is that after they go through the waterfall, or was that before?
That was after they go through the waterfall.
Okay, that was a fun scene.
Yes, I don't want to give everything away.
All right.
And Michael Douglas saves her life, leaves, then it fast forwards. Kathleen Turner has written a book about this experience. Mm-hmm. The publisher says, you were a good writer before, but now you're going to be like super well famous.
Yeah, it's like, and I cried.
Yep.
You know, I really cried. She was crying while she was reading it.
So Turner leaves the publisher. It shows her being hounded by fans. So it may have been a little bit later because of that.
Yes.
And we see this boat in the middle of Manhattan. Michael Douglas is there.
She goes up to the boat.
He has alligator shoes on. We're assuming Douglas killed the alligator, got the stone, and they make out, and that's the end of the movie.
I enjoyed it, actually.
Good.
I like adventure movies like that.
I figured you would.
Yes. When I was awake for it, of course.
Yeah. The 3 minutes you saw of it, I think you
No, it wasn't 3 minutes. It was more than that.
Okay.
It was more than that.
Okay. All I know is there's a scene where Michael Douglas and her get on the boat at the end of the movie. Alana says to me, I didn't know Michael Douglas was in this movie.
No, I didn't.
No, I'm joking, babes.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, now you're making fun of me again.
Sorry, babes. I didn't know. I love you, babes.
I love you, too.
Go, babes.
Okay.
I thought this was very fun.
It was fun. It was fun after The Virgin Suicides, even though The Virgin Suicides was a very good movie.
There's questions I want to ask about this movie, but considering that they made a sequel,
yes,
I don't know how deep we want to go into it.
We don't have to go deep into it.
Okay, we could just say that this is an enjoyable movie.
Yes.
And it's not Shakespeare.
It's not the best movie ever, but
it was good on a Saturday night.
It was good as an adventure movie, and I like adventure movies.
And not a lot of people talk about this film today. No,
they don't. I heard that it came out in the 80s, but I don't remember watching it. And The only thing I knew about Romancing the Stone, besides that there was a movie, is that Dire Straits made the Dire Straits sang the song.
Yeah, you said that earlier.
I know.
Yes.
I did. I just wanted to reiterate what I said.
Very good, Jaylo.
Is that okay?
That's okay, babes.
Okay.
We still got to figure out what we're going to watch next weekend.
Right.
Yes.
I think we should talk about that during the week because I don't want people to know right away.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay. Kind of a surprise.
Of course.
Nice.
Of course. Nice. Why not?
Okay.
I like surprises. Good surprises.
I have a few suggestions. Yeah. Some of which you already know.
Yes.
Could I say what? Could we talk about maybe what we suggest or no?
We can. Yes.
You had suggested doing The Goonies and Moana.
Yes.
2 films that I have not seen.
Yes, and I like them because both of them have adventure in it. One of them has to do with where I came from and also what you had connections to.
Hawaii.
Right? And then The Goonies is a super fun adventure movie that is an 80s classic, and it also, you are connected to The Goonies because you live in Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
And this was filmed in Astoria, Oregon. And I think you would enjoy it.
I had suggested, because I wanted to do a pairing like this before, is that on Saturday we do an Ed Norton night and watch Primal Fear along with Fight Club.
It just sound like heavy movies, but I'll think about it.
They're fun movies. And I think the following weekend we might want to finally do the Bill Murray, Woody Harrelson weekend, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Yes. Because there's a lot of movies I want to show you still.
Yes.
Yes.
And I also suggested, one of my suggestions was that one of these days we go like really, really old school Disney stuff and watch like The Fox and the Hound and what was the other one I said?
I don't remember.
The Aristocats, because I haven't seen it.
But that'll be in the future.
Yes.
Yes. Gotta watch some good movies in the future, babes. You sound tired, Jaylo.
Oh, I'm just yawning. Why? Just because I yawn doesn't mean I'm tired.
Okay.
You know, when you yawn, that also means that you need oxygen to your brain.
Oh my goodness, babes, you sound a little bit upset.
What?
You sound a little bit upset, babes.
No, I'm not.
Okay, good.
Why am I upset?
I don't know, babes. Jaylo.
Yes.
Is there anything else you wanted to say?
No, I don't, and I'm not upset.
Okay, good. Well, good. No dreams last night?
No dreams, but I did sleep pretty well.
All right, maybe we'll wrap this one up then.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Till next time.
Till next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.